chess, it's pure nerves. Every move is a mistake now. Would you agree to this statement?
Well, I agree with the first part of his words. It's not about chess, since I know the quality is very low, but actually I'm not so nervous at the point. I just thought at one point I feel it's total silence in the playing hall, and I didn't feel anybody watching the games. It seems the playing field, well, it seems to be the very important game, but I didn't feel it at all. I have to tell myself that it's quite important. I have to focus on. I didn't feel any kinds of emotional at that point. But the game itself is quite bad. I think my mistake comes earlier as bishop c2. I should have played rook g1, I guess. Bishop h2 and then rook f1. Maybe that's an improvement over the game.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you. And Jan, would you agree to this statement of Fabiano Caruana that it's no longer about chess, but it's about the nerves now?
No, I guess it's still about chess, and not the best thing to do, like to lose supposedly winning position. I guess after c4, like something like rook c8, provoking c5 will be like very, very clean. And then basically white has no counterplay, so it's pretty much, in my opinion, pretty much over, since cd5 doesn't work. But I somehow decided to go for some forcing lines and met the consequences. So, yeah, I think it's pretty much chess. But yeah, at some point, of course, it was a big mess. Once I found out that, okay, this... I'm not sure. After bishop e4, so strangely, I didn't see like any ideas for me anymore. Yeah, so perhaps, okay, what I did was reasonable. But clearly it was an important moment. So, yeah, but happens.
Thank you. Ding, at what moment have you realized that the tables turned on your side?
Well, I didn't understand his choice before and then didn't follow by knight f3. That gave me very easier play, and my queen had developed to a very good square. So, but after bishop e4, I realized I was maybe already better at that point.
Right. Have you considered actually to capture the rook on g6 instead of playing queen to b7?
If he takes.
So you considered, but you disliked that move?
Yeah, I considered a little bit. Yeah, but I think when I saw queen b7, then followed by bishop e4, I thought it's quite good for white.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. One last question from me, and then we'll go to press. To ask the questions. Jan, you played very sharp moves and got a great advantage on the king side. When the things started to go wrong exactly for you?
As I mentioned already, yeah, probably the whole concept like with capturing on c4 was unnecessary, so like rook c8 and keeping the center closed. I guess it was pretty much it, but yeah, what to do?
Okay, fair enough. Do we have questions now in the press? Please, Leoncho.
Leoncho Garcia from El País. Today I have the same question for both. Millions of chess amateurs all over the world were following the game with the help of very powerful computers, which were saying that black was winning for a lot of time, and then at a certain moment that white was winning. But both of you are human beings, so I think it will be very interesting if you can explain as best as possible how were your feelings during the critical part of the game. For instance, Ian, did you feel completely winning? Liren, did you feel totally lost?
Let's start first, Jan, with you.
Yeah, indeed, it looks like winning. I think the whole attack on the king side doesn't work here, but yeah, it looked promising. Yeah, but still, you even if you are winning, you still got to be precise till the end, and clearly I wasn't precise today.
What about you, Ding?
Well, I thought I was better out of the opening, but after he played a series of very good moves, the table has turned around, and I realized after he played f4, and then queen e7 quite strong, also queen g5 the best. After that, I thought I was nearly lost, so I have to complicate the waters by playing c4, queen c3.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Next question, please.
Эльмира Мирзоева, телеканал Матч ТВ. Вопрос к Яну Непомнящему. Ян, вообще в целом вы были довольны тем, как сложился для вас именно дебют, вот этот маневр слон d7, слон g4, вы перед этим думали, вспоминали, то есть это то, что называется, играли по книге?
Jan, the question is to you. My name is Elmira Mirzoeva from Match TV channel. Jan, were you glad with your moves? Bishop d7 and then bishop g4. So did you play by the book? Could you explain?
Yeah, I guess, да, я полагаю, что...
Jan, please answer in Russian and we will translate, yes.
Да, ну, вроде бы, это, мне кажется, часть подготовки, по крайней мере, итогами дебюта я был доволен.
It was part of my preparation, and by the results of the debut, I was happy with.
Right, next question.
And I have a question to Dean. Dean, were you surprised with bishop d7, bishop g4, all this maneuver? Have you seen it before?
I'm quite happy to see bishop d7 come over the board when I was sitting in the rest room, because maybe he's worried about bishop b5 if he played knight c6, but actually knight c6 was the best move according to my analysis, so it means he's a tempo down comparing to the normal position.
Thank you. Do we have a next question?
Hello, Maria Milyanova, chess.com. I have a question for Ding. On the move 12, when you took on f6, you spent half an hour thinking on that move. Coincidentally, it's also move 12 in the second game where you did not expect the capture on f6. Is there any psychology behind thinking for so long on that move, or is it completely irrelevant?
Well, I was choosing between bishop f6 and knight g3. On knight g3, I saw knight h5, h3, bishop takes, queen takes, knight takes, pawn takes, bishop takes. And then maybe rook e3, but here maybe bishop d6 also works. So I have to choose between these two seemingly equal variations. It's very hard to decide which one is better. In the end, I think maybe just have to take the knight first.
So you were just thinking about the lines. There's nothing psychological.
Yeah, but after he takes a pawn, it reminds me a little bit of the games.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have more questions in press? I would ask myself one question to Jan. If you were surprised by the opening choice of Ding when he played movie 3 call system, as it has a reputation that it's not so ambitious move.
No, I wasn't surprised.
You are prepared for it?
A little.
All right. Next question.
Hi, Aditya from ChessBase India. Question to Ding. When you went a4, if Nepo had gone for a6, what was your idea?
Yes, a4, a6, maybe take d5, e5, and rook a1.
Did you see that on the board, or was that your preparation?
No. It's already in the middle game. I was totally lost. It's not.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I think now it's time of the Twitter segment. Please, Jessie, bring the questions.
Jessie February here. My first question is for Jan. What were you discussing at the board right after the game?
I guess instead of f5, which was not so fortunate, I also calculated f3, queen f3, f5, but yeah, we discussed some lines afterwards.
And for both of you, if the games were to go to the tiebreak, which time control would you feel more comfortable playing? What do you think the odds would be?
I think we will go with you first.
Well, I'm quite happy to play 25 plus 10 seconds with 4 rounds. Yeah, because I have played many tournaments like this time control.
Right, Jan?
I mean, there are like 2 classical games, so that's not the time to think about it.
Okay, thank you. Next question.
My last question is for Jan. This is not the first time you've managed to open up the G file and used it to attack. Did you feel you were better at any point after G takes?
Yeah, good question. I think after knight g6, after all this g4 plan, black is massively better. Might be not winning, but surely black has an upper hand. And I guess the fun part that I guess instead of 5, okay, f3, queen f3, f5, queen e3, whatever, knight f4 takes and f takes g4. Should also be quite alright for black, but yeah, happens, as I said.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Do we have more questions? This can be the last chance for the press to ask the question. Otherwise, I would like to conclude today's press conference. Tomorrow, the round 13 will start at 3 p.m. local time. So thank you very much.
Liren wins game 12. With that, he is back in the match. The only decisive game of the second half comes at a very critical moment, and what a game this was. With that win, we've got a level score with 6-6. Jan Nepomniachtchi has so much to deal with after what has just happened. We saw them at the press conference. Jan seemed composed given what he had just what we had just experienced, what we have just witnessed. He was frustrated on the board, disappointed, angry with what had just happened. And after 5 draws, we get 1 decisive game, a big win. 4 draws. We get a big win by Ding Liren. For Jan Nepomniachtchi, Fabi, in your experience, the match is level, far from over. What does he need to do to get back from what happened today?
Well, I could say my match was the same after 12 games, the same score, but we had gotten there in slightly different ways. Yeah, and there were some adventures in my match, but nothing like this. I can't think of a World Championship match this adventurous until maybe going back to 2006 to Paul of Kramnik. That was this level of crazy, but this is pretty wild stuff. And at the moment, Ding definitely has the upper hand in terms of the psychology. I'm sure that he's absolutely thrilled. I mean, he could have basically been out of it, and now it's pure 50-50. If we look at the numbers, if we think about what happened to get there today, the chance that Jan had, and how he'll probably be ruminating over that for the rest of the night, we can speculate about how that will affect him. We have seen the players have shown a tendency to come back from tough losses, and they've struck back very often in the very next game. Will that happen tomorrow? It's impossible to say, but definitely will be exciting to watch.
Yeah, I mean, those draws were just the calm before the storm, because today's game was topsy-turvy. Jan Nepomniachtchi, he had the World Championship match. I mean, he was so close to pretty much winning it today, and yet he slipped. Ding Liren, much more confident now than he could have been during this game, and he's got great chances. He does have the black pieces tomorrow. As Fabi said, we saw earlier in the match they were trading decisive victories. First, Ding would won game 4, then Jan in game 5, Ding in game 6, Jan in game 7. So Jan has proven that he can win the day after a loss. He is able to bounce back, but I think this is heartbreaking. I don't just think he'll be ruminating on it tonight. I think he's going to be thinking about this game for the rest of his life, and whether or not he does eventually become the world champion. So it was a really hectic game. The fans were treated to chaos, but I think the players, they're going to need to find a way to settle down, because tomorrow is a whole new day.
And a really big one. And unfortunately for Jan, no rest days, no time to recover from what he went through today. We could see the agony in him, so close to actually just closing down the match with a move after move collapse. And Ding Liren took that point. Now, Ding will be playing with the black pieces. The good news for Jan is that he starts tomorrow with white. What are you expecting, Fabi, with the action that we've seen today? Will Jan try to create his chances and try to take risks with white? Or will he just want to stop the bleeding?
I think we will see first move e4. I think Jan should stick to his guns and probably will stick to his guns. At the moment, it doesn't make sense to take huge risks because at the moment, after such a traumatic game, of course, if you get chances, take them, but don't try to push too hard. Don't try to force the matter because 2 draws and going to a playoff. At this point, I think Jan should be happy with that, and we wouldn't have said that yesterday. But he doesn't want to spiral out of control, to go on tilt, as they say. I think that he should, still play ambitiously tomorrow, but not in a way where he ever risks losing control. His number one priority should be quality, good chess, and keeping control of the situation.
As he has to keep things under control, and he doesn't have that much time to recover. But Jan Nepomniachtchi, Ding Liren, 2 incredible fighters. They will be back tomorrow for a very crucial game 13. We still have 2 classical games. The players gave their thoughts on the tie breaks, on what happens, their feelings if it went into playoff. And Jan mentioned, well, we still have 2 classical games. It is too early to call. Robert, what are the chances of this match actually going into the playoffs?
It's impossible to predict at this point because we didn't think that Ding Liren was going to win this game, and he did. It's 6-6. So by the scoreboard, if we just looked at that, we'd say great chances. Typically at the highest level, they draw a lot. So we might see a couple draws, a split point, and then we will end our World Championship in tiebreaks. But I just don't know what to expect anymore. I don't know if Jan will be able to recover from today's debacle, or if Ding Liren, with his newfound confidence, if he can try to hold tomorrow and win game 14. There's a lot that remains to be seen.
This kind of back and forth, these kind of comebacks, this kind of chess we haven't seen at the World Championship. Well, Fabi, you mentioned you have to go back in history to the 2006 World Championship match between Veselin Topalov and Vladimir Kramnik to think of this level of drama that we're experiencing at the World Championship between Jan and Ding. What do you think is going on? What's the reason for that, Fabi?
Well, at this point, I really think tiredness and nerves plays a huge part. And although Jan said that it was still mostly about the chess, I think Ding was more on the spot with his assessment that it is probably about nerves, and that although the quality was low, right now it's going to be a battle of who can hold it together best. And we can only imagine how tired you are after 12 games of back and forth, tough, a lot of emotions, especially, and we know that emotional games where you're losing or you're winning, or there's those emotional swings, that saps a lot of your nervous energy. So they've had to deal with a lot of that throughout the match, multiple times by now. And today is like the culmination of all of that crazy stuff. And I think today will be exhausting for both of them because Ding, he won, but for sure it sapped a lot of his emotional and mental energy because he also realized that he was on the verge of losing, and the excitement of winning as well. All of that is definitely an addition to the stress. For Jan, of course, I can't imagine how he feels. I mean, it must be completely heartbreaking, especially as he knows that he was winning. He felt it. We all knew that he was on the verge of winning that game, and it just fell apart at that super crucial moment when he was so close to the finish line, at least in this game and potentially in the entire match.
Yeah, and I mean, I just had a thought based on what you were saying before, Fabi, about this World Championship and how it's so decisive. Tanya, your question, I think this is a rarity, right? We're having a World Championship where the best player in the world is not taking part. And so we don't see maybe as accurate chess.
Branduri mari, prețuri mici. Investește în acțiuni fracționate începând de la 10 euro.
like the decisive games. No disrespect meant towards a player. Decisive, Tanya, your question. I think this is a rarity, right? We're having a world championship where the best player in the world is not taking part. And so we don't see maybe as accurate chess as we would if Magnus Carlsen were playing. That's no disrespect meant towards the players. It's just objective fact that Magnus Carlsen, he has been the best player for a long time now. He was the world champion. He decided not to take part. So it's been fun. It's a roller coaster ride, and I'm happy to be on it. But I think maybe for some out there, they're looking at this match and they're saying, I enjoy the fighting chess we're seeing. I like the decisive games, but maybe in some ways the world championship title is a bit diminished without Magnus Carlsen taking part. I'm not sure.
Food for thought there. But Robert, for me, this has been a really emotional day. I have to say, the kind of chess we saw, it just felt like excellent play by both these players. And no matter who you're rooting for in this World Championship match, your team Ding or your team Nepo, it just feels like today you've got a feel for Jan. It just felt absolutely heartbreaking to watch him in those last moments of the game. And indeed, he's got a tough task ahead of him. With two classical games, he has to overcome his own journey of today. He has to overcome all that happened in the game today, not only thinking about the leveled match that now means he has to start from scratch. Everything that he did, the big win that he had, taking the 1 point lead, keeping it pretty much till the very tail end of the match, and then staring at another win and then letting it slip. It's going to be a tough night for Team Nepo. His task is cut. It's not just about focusing on opening preparation tomorrow, but how important, Fabi, will also be the psychological aspect going into Game 13.
Yeah, I think it's going to be super important. And that's why if I were to advise Jan, and I think that his seconds will probably advise him similarly in this way, that keep it under control, Of course, Jan can play super well. He can play at near perfect chess, as we saw a few games in a row, and also for pretty much the entirety of the game today, playing nearly perfect chess. But you just got to keep your emotions in check, and it cost him very dearly today, but it's still an even match. He has no reason to despair because he missed a big chance for sure to nearly win the match today, but it's still a 50-50 situation. Of course, it's going to be very tough, but you kind of want to approach it just like it's a clean slate, right? Like it's from game one, we have 2 games. It's a 2-game match. Forget about everything that happened previously, and short match followed by a short tiebreak. It's either of these guys could be world champion in a few days. I wouldn't even venture to guess who at this point.
Had a topsy-turvy day of chess, and I want to give a big shout out to chat who joined us for this match. It's been amazing, Robert and Fabi, calling this out with you guys. You guys have been incredible breaking down the action that these world-class players have been bringing on, getting into their minds and calling it all out. So thank you, Robert. Thank you, Fabi. We will be back with Game 13 action. Chess is beautiful, but equally brutal. And that's what we saw today. We leave you with the emotional roller coaster that was Game 13.
For Ding Liren, I want to see him come out fighting, not make a peaceful, solid draw. He really needs to throw everything but the kitchen sink at Jan Nepomniachtchi today.
I have a feeling 1d4. Come on, Ding. Do this for the chat. Do it for the commentators.
E3. Oh my goodness, he is playing a quiet line.
This is known as the Cole, right? Bishop D7.
I see, Robert, that it's a bad move.
This is honestly a great outcome from the opening for Ding Liren. I am very, very shocked by the fact that he played Bishop D7 and then Bishop G4. It feels like he just gave Ding a tempo for free.
It looks like Jan's the one who's feeling the comfort in this position. I'm getting worried for Ding here. He needs to make a move, and second, he needs to show more confidence in this position.
It sometimes feels unfair in chess when you're like, wait, I thought that I made a good move. Why am I getting a question mark? But this was a mistake. This is a really, really great move from Jan Nepomniachtchi. He played it quickly, he played it confidently, and it's just one of those moves that you need to make in order to become a world champion. Maybe there was a bishop takes g6 that should have been played first, but he plays bishop b8, does Jan Nepomniachtchi, and oh my goodness!
Whoa!
The evaluation bar went all the way up in Ding Liren's favor. Queen b7 was Ding's choice. He also doesn't find the best move.
I have to say, these guys are just fried at this point. Like, they've stopped calculating. Plays f5?
F5.
It's losing on the spot!
And oh my gosh.
takes e6.
Drops another pawn.
What does
That's
he
the
want?
third pawn that Jan gives up.
Quickly played and resigned.
Handshakes, and that is it. E6 on the board. Liren comes back in the match. We've got a match on our hands.